I am Daniel Lucas, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest, one of our advocacy to make responsible parent as well as a parent coach, none other than Miss MegAnne Ford.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Miss MegAnne on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I miss?
My name is MegAnne, and I help parents stop yelling and start enjoying being a parent again. It's a very stressful situation, and oftentimes we inherit the tools that we were parented with, and then we try to mimic or replicate or totally do the opposite of. And I love this topic of bringing in books as resources because it really invites us to take understanding of what we're currently doing and then bring in some education to learn maybe what we want to do differently or better. And so that's what I help parents do is I become their accountability partner. I become their confidant, their encourager, the person who that they can create a game plan with and they go out there and help really change their parenting and then changing the culture within their home.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss MegAnne. Thank you. So let's talk about how to take responsibility and stop blaming everyone else for your parenting struggles.
Yeah.
So let's start on the beginning. What does taking responsibility for your parenting actually mean to you? Is it about guilt or is it about power?
Oh, I think it's about both. I think when we take responsibility, I think we're marrying both of those. And I'll introduce my first book is something that's really helped me on this journey is a book by Lindsay Gibson, and it's called Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents. And this
Mhm.
book is a really great book of someone, the byline is How to Heal from Distant, Rejecting, or Self-Involved Parents. So this book is a really great resource as someone who's starting to say, hey, you know what? I don't feel good. I don't like what I've been doing. Maybe I've been being physical. I am like pinching, spanking, maybe even doing something more punitive. Like maybe I'm catching myself doing that physical or maybe even yelling. And it's like, whoa, I don't like how that feels anymore. But where did this come from? This book really helps bring up the awareness and lets you see like, oh, yeah, this is what's how I was raised. And this is what makes it very powerful that I can now be normalized. It can be normalized that like, oh, this is something I've like inherited and like, I don't want to do this anymore. So part of being
Mhm.
taking responsibility is exactly that, is saying like, hey, I came to this honestly and I now want to release these tools because it's not helping me, it's not helping my kids, and I'm just done with it.
Hmm. So, Miss MegAnne, tell us, blaming others, whether it's your partner, your kids, your own parents, or society, often serve as a protective function. What is a
Absolutely.
secondary gain of blaming? What are afraid will happen if we stop?
That's a great question. What would start happening is I think that we're going to have to sit with those uncomfortable feelings, especially if we were blamed as children, right? We became the reason why someone was mad at us or it was our fault. It's a very easy default to go into. And so learning how to take responsibilities is learning really how to be in that uncomfortable space and say, hey, I'm feeling this, but maybe I'm not the reason for it. And now I can start to step into taking accountability and saying, I can actually now change it. Once I become aware of it, now I can change it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. Change it. Why not? Can you
Yeah.
walk us through the moment you first realized that your habit of blaming others was holding you back as a
hmm
parent? What
hmm
was the catalyst?
For me, I'm actually not a parent. I came into this work as a teacher, and that's how
Mm-hmm.
I saw it. Was I became face to face with my anger and with those tendencies when I was in the classroom with other people's kids, right? And I think this is a powerful lens that I come to is that often when I work with families and parents, they say, "Hey, look, I'm doing all this stuff and I don't like doing it." As a teacher, I became aware of it that I wanted to do it and I could never do it, right? Like I could never spank a child. I could never threaten to take away their birthday party. I could never send them to the corner because in that case, that would have been my job. And so I
Shopify's point of sale system helps you sell at every stage of your business. Need a fast and secure way to take payments in person? We've got you covered. How about card readers you can rely on anywhere you sell?
Thanks. Have a good one.
Yep, that too. Want one place to manage all your online and in-person sales? That's kind of our thing. Wherever you sell, businesses that grow with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 a month trial at shopify.com/listen. Shopify.com/listen.
I could have gone to jail for that. So
Mm-hmm.
really becoming aware of it and like coming face to face with it and realizing like I'm not going to take action on it was a very almost sobering experience for me to like have to do this not just for my own children but now for the children I take care of. And I was sitting in a workshop because as a teacher you go through a lot of continuing education credits, a lot of continuing education work to learn these skills and normalize that this is like a skill set that you're going to learn and practice. And the facilitator who actually is an author of another book called Helping Children Navigate Their Emotions by Understanding Your Own. Her name is Tamar Jacobson, and in her book walks through specifically through anger and just the power of understanding and reframing how you travel through anger and how you can help children in your care travel through anger. And she asked a question at the very beginning that said, raise your hand or actually jot down on a piece of paper, how were you disciplined as a child? And she set a timer for probably like 2 or 3 minutes and just asked everybody to write down all the ways that you were disciplined. And then asked us to share and raise our hand and share to the group. And people were saying things like, I was burned, I was spanked, I was threatened, I got yelled at, I got hit with a wooden spoon. And she, it was all these people who were just sharing all these experience from their childhood. And she raised her hand and said, okay, I'm going to ask everyone to stop and let you know that those were all punishments. And discipline really means to teach and to guide and to lead. And there's different ways to do that. And everything that has been like conflated with discipline was actually just punishments. And if we tap back into that experience of being punished, how do we feel? We probably felt angry, sad, small, defeated, more distant, and actually harder to discipline, meaning to teach and lead, because now the relationship had been hurt. And that moment for me was just like a very like aha moment where it was like, oh, like if I'm trying to have influence over someone, I can now have influence over them in a way that hurts them or helps them. And in that moment, I made a promise to myself, like, I'm going to start to improve my skill set, improve my skills, because I want to help them. I want them to have memories of us together that actually feel safe. I want them to know, like, hey, I made a mistake and MegAnne didn't shame me for it or didn't blame me for it. She actually said, like, wow, that's really hard. And how can we work through it? And in order to do that, I, as the adult in that situation, had to start getting better tools, becoming aware of the tools that I had, getting into supports so that I can help become accountable in practicing those tools. And then actually the real life reps and conditioning it takes to strengthen that skill set. Again, not with my own children, but with other people's kids. And that's like it feels like a next level of this work.
Miss Megan, many parents operate on autopilot, using the same patterns that
Mhm.
learn in childhood. How can someone stand to identify if their reactions are
Mhm.
conscious choice or unconscious blame shifting habit?
Yeah, I think I'll bring in a second resource, how to talk to kids so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk. This is another great source that really calls out um, a very, it's almost black and white in the way that they call out their strategies and tools. So the first one is unironically blaming and accusing. So it goes through the very clear example of what that is. So it's saying things like, your dirty fingerprints on the door again. Why do you always do that? So it's like this book makes those tools become very concrete and like, oh, wow, I do that. And like, it doesn't feel good and I don't like it. And it, it, I remember having it done to me and it doesn't feel good. And so I think the first step is just saying, like, I don't feel good and I don't like it. And I don't want to keep feeling that way. And as soon as you start to have that awareness and that commitment, then I think now you're open. You're open to learning and open to change.
Open to change. Well, we like that,
Yeah.
Miss Megan, because I think probably 30% of our parents don't like to change. We often hear parents say, "My child is just a difficult kid."
Mm.
How can we refrain that statement to take ownership of our response to our child's challenging temperament or behavior?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the first step there is, let's do a reframe of what difficult means. And oftentimes we as adults come to that situation wanting to control the child or blame the child, like, you're doing this to me, you're being difficult either on purpose or you always do this. It's like stressed out, exasperated um, experience. And I think the first step is if we reframe something that, they're not giving me a hard time, right? I'm experiencing a hard time because they are having a hard time. And a difficult child is, their behavior is difficult because they are having a difficult experience. And once we can reframe that, every tantrum and meltdown isn't something that is happening to me or not anything that they're doing on purpose. It's something that actually is calling out and saying, like, hey, here's a white flag. I'm having a really hard time. And I like to think of it as like, when we're driving in a car and our check engine light comes on or the gas tank light flickers, we're not blaming the car. We're not like, oh, car, why do you always do this? We're taking that as information to be like, oh, I need to like pull over and get some gas, or I need to go in and get this checked out because something is happening that requires my care and attention. And children are the same way. Their difficult behaviors that are coming up are signaling to us, like, hey, something in their engine, something's going wrong and needs our care and attention. They actually need our support, not more stress.
We need a support, people, not cortisol or
Ugh.
stress.
Yeah, but
No.
I think that first comes into that awareness that, like, oh, I'm feeling stressed out and like I need to calm down. And that's where a parent coach comes in, because that parent coach right in that moment is the person that can give you the gas. And then when you have
Mm.
gas, when you have that support, when you have that encouragement to say, hey, you can do this, now you feel better. And then you can go into that stressful situation and share those resources with the child. The phrase is like, you can't pour from an empty cup, right? And
Yes.
the child is saying, like, hey, I need gas and it's stressful to me as the adult, which means, like, hey, I need some gas so that I can share that.
Yes, definitely. The concept of a locus of control is a key here.
Mm-hmm.
How can a parent practice shifting from external locus of
Mm-hmm.
control to an internal one?
Yeah, wow, this is such a deep process, especially if, like, in the first book, the adult children of emotionally immature parents, if we were raised in that way, we have a belief that the child's role is to please the adult. And so when we believe that, and our child is having a hard time, or any child in front of us, and we believe that they're supposed to help please us, we're operating from that locus of control. Like something outside of me controls me. It could be the child, it could be traffic, it could be my partner, it could be a work stress. Something outside of me is controlling me. And really learning to bring that locus of control inside, that I'm a person having this experience and I actually can control myself. That switch can feel it's uncomfortable, it's disorienting, it can be very triggering, it can be very exhausting to bring that back in and say, hey, I'm feeling stress and I control it. I control what I do here. I'm controlling whether I yell. I'm controlling whether I say hurtful things. I'm controlling that, if I ask for help or if I slow down, if I just take a step and back away. And all that work at the beginning, changing from an external locus, like something out here is controlling me, to bring it more internal and saying like, hey, I actually control me. That can be so uncomfortable at first. An example of this is recently I was with 2 1-year-olds. They're both almost 2-year-olds, and they were pushing against each other. They both wanted to look out of a window at the same time, and they're kind of pushing up against each other, just leaning in. And what my initial knee-jerk reaction is to be like, hey, don't push on each other, like to correct, right? Just to go quick and be like, be nice to each other. We don't need to argue over this window. You both can have a turn with this window. So kind of like over help. And in that case, I noticed that feeling come up in me and be like, oh, I can control them so that I can have that sense of calm, like I did something. But instead, I just sat with that discomfort. Like I told myself, they're okay. Like they're not hurting each other. They're annoyed at each other. And I really just gave myself a pause to hold it. And it took about 30 seconds for one of them to turn to me and ask for help. And then at that point, because I've taken that 30 seconds to calm myself, instead of going in and rushing in to fix and rescue or separate them or punish the one that was pushing or, belittle them, I could say, how can I help you? And I'm here to help you. And I can now say, hey, I've got gas, and then encourage them to come in and get filled up and then go and use that together, so that situation then becomes de-escalated without, further escalating it more. So it's like that process of like feeling the uncomfortableness, becoming aware of it, holding it, being able to make a decision of what to do with it, and then taking a step forward from this calm, regulated space.
Miss MegAnne, as a parent coach, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Yeah, as a parent coach, my short-term goal is that one person listening here feels motivated to look in the mirror, love the person in the mirror, and say, hey, I'm going to learn something new. My long-term goal is that I don't have to have a business anymore, that parenting becomes a place from healing, and that, the next generation is being raised by emotionally intelligent, emotionally regulated caregivers, that parent coaches are no longer needed.
Well, good luck to your goals, Miss MegAnne, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be a parent coach like you?
Someone who wants to be a parent coach like me, get good support, get good certifications, and then work with children. Like get hands-on, not just with your children, not coming just from a place of like, this what happens with this worked with my child, but start volunteering or working in spaces that allows you to do this work across a very broad spectrum, working with different temperaments, working with different families, working with different cultures. That way it helps you broaden your skill set.
Thank you for that advice, Miss MegAnne. And can you please again recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
All right, I'll do a quick recap, and then I'll share my last one. So the first book that I mentioned, Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents: How to Heal from Distant, Rejecting, or Self-Involved Parents. This is a great book to lean into if you're just just starting this journey. Then the next one is How to Talk So Kids Will Listen. Listen so kids will talk. This is a great one that gives you practical tools and very black or white. Like, if you're doing this, do this instead. And then the last one is No Drama Discipline, written by Dr. Dan Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson. They are fabulous in talking through emotional regulation and what's going on in the neuroscience behind behavior. And so this is another great book of just getting into that work and getting into that space of learning what's internally going on so that I can externally start to change my behavior.
Yes, definitely. And thank you for that recommended books, Miss MegAnne. Taking responsibility is a continuous practice, not
Mm-hmm.
one-time event.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like to make this a core value in your family culture so
Mm-hmm.
your children learn it by example?
It looks like magic. It feels like magic. It feels like even though things are messy, I feel better. Even though it didn't go perfectly, I feel proud of myself and how I showed up. It looks like being able to go to sleep, not having the running thoughts or the punishment mindset. It feels like, yeah, magic.
Mm. Magic indeed. This journey can feel isolating. How can parents find or build a tribe that
Mhm.
supports accountability rather than just joining on the blame game?
Yeah, I think first step is looking into your communities. Like, ask yourself, who do I feel safe going to? And start there. And then also finding online communities. I mean, in the digital age, here you and I are talking from two different places, um, being able to find that connection and getting into spaces and communities that, again, feel safe for you to step into doing this work, be it a friend, be it your own family, or someone on the internet that you feel like, hey, I feel safe enough to open up and start to practice this work.
Mm. Yeah. So, Miss Megan, before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too, comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101, love letters, movie 101 review, music 101, our fourth season. Science 101 and Sex 101 second season of my baby podcast, Law 101, Mental Health 101, and Bible Verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Megan, finally looking at the big picture. If a parent truly embraces this mindset, what is the ultimate gift they are giving not only for their future generation?
That's it, right? Like, your children will be inheriting safe caregiving from you and go on to change all the future generations in front of them by passing on safety, security, and ultimately not just being told that they are loved, but feeling that love.
Yes, definitely. And one more, Miss Megan, how do we handle the fear of vulnerability that comes with the fully owning our mistakes, especially when we have the apologize or to apologize to our kids?
Yeah, just start small and start messy and know that if this is new, it's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable, and remember what it was like to start seeing your child do something for the first time, like walk or talk. They stumbled, they fell, they got hurt, and then they kept practicing with love and encouragement to get up and try again. And then they built on that strength. And so, if being vulnerable or sharing about these things is new, you too are like the toddler learning how to walk, and there's going to be stumbling, and it's going to be messy, and it's going to be hard, and it's going to be uncomfortable, and maybe even you're going to get hurt in it. And to find that safe space to say it's okay, stand up and try again, because I believe in you and you can do this, so that you can get stronger in that practice. And then you would become a proficient, in that skill set.
Definitely. And Miss MegAnne Ford, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world.
Thank
So
you
can
so
you please,
much.
yes, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Yeah, please. If any of this has landed, you can find me at bekindcoaching.com and take my free parenting quiz. You can get into classes and supports, or book a one-on-one right with me, so that we can help get you feeling great in your parenting.
Yes, definitely. Let's support Miss MegAnne Ford, because if you support her, for sure, more and more parenting techniques will rise. So, Miss MegAnne, can you explain more about you've decided to stop yelling? What is all about?
It just means, hey, you're there. You've decided and you're ready, and maybe you don't know what to do next, but you're ready to be open to learning what to do next. And that's the hardest step. Once you become aware of it, once you've decided to stop, now we can get to work and start playing with what you can do differently.
Yes, thank you for that, Miss MegAnne. More to come, people. See you soon.
Thank you so much.